Hey everybody, welcome to Adam Makes Beer. My name's Adam and today I am at Madtree Brewing and we are going to be brewing Psychopathy, getting a full tour of the entire facility, how they dry hop, the pilot system, the 100-barrel automated brew house, canning, kegging, what's the other thing? Centrifuge. We're doing it all. We're talking to lab people, we're talking to brewers. It's going to be a blast. Come check it out. Today's brew day is brought to you by my friends at Blickman Engineering. Starting a brewery is a big step. Blickman Engineering is there to help. Since 2006, they've equipped hundreds of nano breweries for success. Their new 3.5-barrel Pro Surface electric brewing system cuts maintenance and saves at least 30 minutes per brew with powerful under kettle heating. From 1 to 15-barrel brew houses to keg washers and grain mills, Blickman has what you need. Ready to go pro? Contact Phil or Tom at proseries@blickmanengineering.com. And so we are in the mill room right now. I can see anything from individual, maybe specialty bags down here. 3 super sack rigs over here. And then
this is our
mill right here. Can you kind of walk me through this a little bit? It looks like grain is coming in down through that door down there. Am I reading that all correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have 2 silos full of brewer's malt outside. I think they hold like 20 to 40,000 pounds of just 2-row. We have a chain bay that will bring it in from outside through those grates that you saw. The first stop, we have a hand load that we put, specialty grain in. Allows us to have that flexibility for 15-barrel recipes or just, as we'll see later today when we mill for access, a bunch of specialty malt.
Yep.
The chain bay then continues under to, as you noted, our 3 super sack bays. Anything that we need 2,000 plus pounds of.
Yeah. What's usually in the super sacks?
Typically it's like white wheat, Vienna, Golden Promise, a lot of Golden Promise nowadays.
Beautiful malt.
Yeah, great malt, very nice malt. We make a very nice IPA with it. Follows through the super sacks, comes up here to our mill. These chain bays here are the ones that carry it, these big pucks. Drops it into our sets of four sets of mills rollers that we have.
Yep.
That again we can adjust through our computer program. We have a very typical set, but we'll alter that for darker kiln malt. Yeah. So we'll get into that a little bit today as well before we brew access. But for today's batch of Psych, the double batch, they stayed at our very standard set mill gap ratio.
Yep. Yep. And this is all driven through the computer system.
So we'll get into that. I'll show you. It's a piece of custom software called Ignition that was built around our facility and built around our vessels and the way everything here operates from start to finish. So very special piece of program to us. Allows us to have some flexibility and some control where other pieces of software might not allow that.
Nice.
But we're all very fond of it.
Do you have any grain solos outside for base malt, or does it all run through the super sacks and everything like that?
No, we have the 2 big silos outside for base malt, 2-row brewer's malt that Breeze comes. We're actually going to get a delivery later today.
Nice.
I think they hold anywhere from 20 to 40,000. I think it's 40,000 pounds a silo. So 2 40,000 pound silos out there, as well as a steam jacketed spent grain silo. That can hold maybe 2 weeks worth of spent grain.
Yep. So now are these 3 super sack stations here? This is all going to be weighed and everything through that programming, and is the weighing mechanism, they're hanging off of that little cross of 4, the yellow thing. Is that part of the weighing system there, or is that something different?
So that's just to hoist it. It does there is a sensor in it, but there's also sensors on the bottom of the bay itself. Yep. So the bags will rest there. Our program keeps track. We have a section for the milling, and it'll keep track of how much is in there. They get regularly calibrated from our maintenance team. Yep. we zero out for the bags. We can accurately track down to the, single pounds. How much is being added there.
So it looks like there's a couple of different sources. So you have the two chain augers that are running up on this side right here.
Correct.
And then I see, so we're connected at 2 points right here with the flexible tubing. What is the second smaller tube that's going in there?
The second one's for our dust collection. We've got dust collection down on the bottom. The bigger one on the left is where it all just gets dropped in from the feeder and the pucks.
I think sometimes the dust collection and dust management side of things is a little bit slept on. And the funny thing is, at a lot of small breweries, I mean, you just see everything covered everywhere. And it's always so interesting to see like really well encased or like, like, you know what I mean? Like I've been in some places where dust is just flying everywhere and you come out looking, you're milling manually and you come out looking like you're covered and stuff. So it's always cool to see mills like this. And you can actually see right here, let me pull this off. Am I just looking at the pulleys right here, or is that actually, can you actually see some of the milling action right here? No, this is just different gears that are driving things right
Correct.
here.
No, but you'll see those run and spin.
Okay.
And these, I mean, we could take these off.
Oh, you don't got to sweat that. You don't got to sweat that.
But yes, those are, easy to see if anything's going wrong or if it's performing as expected.
Sure. And you mentioned a maintenance team. How many folks do you have on maintenance?
We run a two-man maintenance team, maintenance and engineering. One guy that's usually running around the floor and more of like a manager, and one more that's more of like a manager, but they both pitch in just as much work, doing preventative maintenance here on our mill, on our vessels, a lot of maintenance on our canning line. As you get into that piece of equipment, it's a behemoth and goes through a lot of changeovers to do all the package formats that we run here in the facility now. And that's a full-time job in and of itself. So
I bet.
Yeah, two-man team.
And is this what you would use for anything specialty that's going in?
No, so this hand load is our post-mill hand load.
Okay.
So we'll use this for flaked adjunct, rice holes, anything we obviously don't want to run through the mill. So when we mash in, at the bottom of this is our grist case, 100 barrel grist case. After it mills in, the bottom chain bay that takes it to both of our lauter tons, either our 100 barrel or 15, starts here. Runs through this chain bay case and then runs up and out, and we can follow that to our lauter ton in a little bit. But yeah, this is rice holes. We'll use this today in Psychopathy for our rice holes. We'll use it tomorrow in Axis for our flaked oats and all of the other flaked adjunct.
We'll dig into that side of things a little bit later, but how does your system, how does your lauter ton handle flake product and different things like that? Does it work with it pretty well, or can it get a little wonky?
Typically, it works real well. We don't see a whole lot of problem with differential pressure between our false bottom and on top of the grain bed. We have devised a few strategies to help work with some heavier flaked adjunct beers. One of our biggest proportions is we have about 1,200 pounds of flaked adjunct in our hazy IPA, seeing colors.
That's so funny, just on scale.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
Because
usually 1,200 pounds on a 15 barrel system, that's a lot of grain going in.
Yeah, that's a 10.5, 11% barley wine. Yeah, so at that scale, I think that recipe is something like 6,500, 7,000 pounds. So relatively, it's all proportionate. But so with maybe a lighter, a smaller grist beer, maybe like our light lager, where it's predominantly 2-row and then some flaked corn, maybe like 400 pounds of flaked corn. We found that if we add that in too early, that starts providing, like too early in our mashing process here on this this hand load, that'll provide problems during Vorloff. So we'll typically wait until maybe 500-600 pounds have already passed through and ended up in our mash and lauter ton before we start adding that flaked adjunct, and we've seen better results with differential pressure as we lauter on those recipes. So yeah, some strategies there, but for by and large, the most part, it handles itself really well. Base malt silos. And then the one that you can see is currently leaking, pushing steam out, is our spent grain. And so we're actively graining out right now.
Okay, and so that large pipe that you have running across there, is that insulated, or is it actually that diameter?
It's insulated and has a steam jacket. So it's a little bit of both.
Also, it has a steam jacket on it, so you're not dropping a bunch of temp and making it like more viscous and So
that whole line and that whole vessel itself has steam jackets on it that we can turn on and off from inside in our software. We actually late last year replaced all the insulation on that, maybe in like October.
So was that something that was always like that, or was that a lesson learned thing where you're like, oh, we've actually gotten something frozen in here before? Or okay, cool.
No, when we built this place out, like 8 years ago, I think it was all a part of the original plan.
Yep. And I see you have a basketball hoop. I like that.
Yeah, we do. It gets some use in the spring when we cook out. We have a flat iron grill out here, so we'll cook out, shoot some hoops.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yep. So that's our base malt.
Awesome.
For just about every beer we use.